Let's talk about the way that we shift looking at showing up in relationship and showing up in community. So one of the people who attended one of my workshops I conducted today had some great questions, and she was saying that I had suggested, like, hey, why don't you look at buy nothing groups in your local area so that you can share resources that way, and there's not an exchange of money, it's just an exchange of resources. And oftentimes it's not like a trade situation, right? It's like this person has extra of this, who might need it, right? And then when you have something extra to give, you add to that group, right? But I said also look at your local permaculture group. So they'll work together and create a permaculture garden in someone's yard. And then like you do that for a year or two, you learn about the process, you contribute to other people, and then it comes time for yours. And she was like, well, I live in an apartment, so they wouldn't really be able to build that for me. And I was like, yeah, but what if we looked at this a little bit differently? What if you looked at the fact that like you live in an apartment is not an impediment, right? What if one of the people who you help build the garden, what if they're an older person, or what if they're a single person, or what if there's someone who would love the company of someone like you coming by and helping them to maintain their garden? And what if you could also then benefit from that garden to be able to, gain from the fruits of your labor, literally, directly? And she's like, oh, wow, like I didn't think about that, right? There's ways to shift the narrative about how we show up in relationship with one another and how we show up in community that are going to be necessary for us to actually be able to show up in community. I think some of the barriers are, okay, well, if it's about reciprocity, I'm not sure how I'm going to actually benefit from this scenario. But maybe it's not just from physically gaining access to the fruits of your labor, but maybe it's through incredible friendships and relationships that help you to connect to a variety of people that help to bolster your business, or help you get to a different place professionally, or so on and so forth, right? There's a myriad of benefits that you will not know will exist for you from being in community with the people around you and being in ethical relationship with the people around you until you actually engage in community. You won't actually know all of the benefits because you're probably like me, somebody who wasn't raised in community. I was told what I was raised in was community, but really it was singularity. It was everyone having to show up as you were told, not as you were, not as you are, not as you want to be. You were not honored as an autonomous human being. You were required to show up in very specific ways according to a strict ideology. That's not community. Community is about harm reduction. Community is about empowering individuals in the collective. It's about reciprocity. It's about a variety of things that I myself am still learning, right? But what I have come to understand is I can't take the way that I currently perceive the world and apply that to community, because it's not the same. It's not the same. I have to take a very different worldview, and I have to start to ask questions, get more curious, right? And show up in community, show up in these variety of groups, and see the ways that I can contribute and the ways that are going to be beneficial for my life. And that doesn't mean that every community is meant for you. Maybe you're more drawn to community theater than you are to permaculture gardens, right? Maybe you're more drawn to join a dance class or badminton or whatever that crazed game that everybody's playing, pickleball, right? Maybe pickleball's your jam and a garden's not, right? But whatever it is, or going to your local library and seeing what lectures are available or what classes are available, those are going to be people directly in your neighborhood, right? There's all of these different ways that we can participate in community that enhance our lives, and we won't be aware of until we actually step into and participate in community.